My name's Jess. I'm in London. I'm from London. And so, yeah, it's really great to meet you all, even though I can't see your beautiful faces. I can imagine them. And today I'm going to be talking about curiosity, which is, in my opinion, the secret to being healthier, wealthier, and sexier. Now, it's completely free, and absolutely everyone has access, the resources to access curiosity, but not many of us really want to. Many of us are just not quite brave enough. But firstly, let's start at the beginning. What is curiosity? The dictionary defines curiosity as a strong desire to know or do something, but I don't really agree. I think that suggests that curiosity, we're sort of led by the thing we want to know about. Whereas for me, I think we can be led by curiosity, and it can take us into realms that we may have never even considered if we just remain curious about the world around us. If you think about toddlers, they are just arms wide open, eyes ablaze, desperate to explore the world around them. We are born curious. We learn by osmosis, we imitate, we look at these magicians who can walk and talk, and we watch them so avidly until we can do that too. We can pull ourselves up and we can say no to Brussels sprouts. Sorry to anyone who likes Brussels sprouts. We just copy everyone around us. My friend's 6-month-old daughter can already unlock her dad's iPhone. This child can't walk, she can't talk, she can't even really sit up by herself yet. But she's learned to value what the people around her value. So if you're trying to start a business, just ask a toddler what people need, because they are watching us. They are tuned in to what's going on around them because it's in their survival system. As humans, we've evolved to be curious. It's how we learn about the world around us. It's how we learn which plants are poisonous, which are safe, and most importantly, how to behave so we don't get thrown out of the tribe. Then somewhere along the way, our innate spark of curiosity goes out. It gets buried underneath responsibilities and expectations and this idea of how we should live our lives and who we should be. And that's heavy. Once we learn to keep ourselves alive, our brain actually goes into autopilot. It's an evolutionary measure designed to reduce our energy expenditure by coding in the activities we do regularly, which makes sense. It'd be exhausting if every time you wanted to walk anywhere, you had to think about, okay, left foot, right foot, stand up tall. But the problem is, once things are coded in, we stop asking questions. Questions like, could this be done differently or better? We just accept things as they are. My sister really hates the expression, it is what it is. So naturally, I use it all the time. And because she thinks it just stands for giving up. And in a way, she's right. But also, it is what it is until it isn't. Yes, I did just quote British Love Island. I'm sorry. Almost everything is within our power to change. We don't like that power, though. We would much rather ascribe blame and shame to the universe, to life, because it's so unfair, than be brave enough to accept responsibility for the course of our lives. Don't get me wrong, I totally get it. I was one of the blamers. In my mid-20s, I was stone broke. I was in thousands of pounds worth of debt, and I was furious with life for putting me in this position. Not once did I consider the fact that it might be my fault for spending money I didn't have, or not getting a degree that I could actually do something with. Funnily enough, my Spanish degree didn't get me very far. Now, I couldn't possibly open myself up to that curiosity. The burden of obligation was far too heavy. It was much easier to find fault with the unknown universe, to rail against the unfairness of it all, than to think I might have the power to do something about it, or even the superpower of curiosity. So instead, I made plans, never taking action, always sitting on the sidelines of life. But the universe had other ideas, and it threw me a huge curveball. Completely out of the blue, the company that I worked for asked me to move to Hong Kong. almost 10,000 kilometers away from my home in London, to a city I'd never visited, far away from everything and everyone I knew. It really was a true sliding doors moment. Not only was I being asked to leave my life behind, but I needed to do it quickly. They wanted me on a plane in the next week. So naturally, my initial reaction was complete panic. I just signed a 12-month lease for a flat in London. I was in a relationship. I didn't know anyone in Hong Kong. There were so many reasons not to go. But there was a tiny voice inside, so deep and so quiet, barely audible, that just whispered, what if? What if this is the adventure of a lifetime? What if this is the chance that you didn't know you were looking for? Thanks, Scott. Yes, all about the what if. I buried my curiosity for so long, busy following this route that I was supposed to. Graduate, get a job, move to London, get promotion, like working to climb this ladder that I didn't even know where it ended. I was so busy with the urgent. I let it cloud the important. The important being that I yearned to travel and to meet new people and to have adventures. And I was in this job, I didn't even know I liked it. I promise I will answer questions at the end. So thank you. Keep them coming in. Fantastic. For the first time in years, I listened to that tiny voice. I grasped onto that long forgotten superpower of curiosity, and it led me. And I said yes. And that yes brought me 2 glorious years of endless curiosity, of exploring a culture I knew nothing about, of adventures on a continent I'd never previously visited, and most of all, the opportunity to really get to know myself. Because when we live in sameness, when we deny our curiosity, we don't have the privilege of connecting with what we're truly capable of, and to understand how strong and brave we can really be. It's from that place of bravery that we're really able to leap into the unknown, whether it's starting a business or a new relationship, or perhaps even starting anew. Encoding curiosity into our personal mainframe gives us the strength to handle any challenges that may come our way. That doesn't mean these challenges won't be hard. It just means we won't succumb to them. Because the opposite of curiosity isn't apathy, it's fear. It's the fear that if we step into the unknown, we will fail. And the irony is that if you've followed your curiosity, if you've taken the first step, then you can't fail. And every time you feel like you're failing, you just have to take another step. It's like Jeff Bezos says, I believe if you're curious, you can find opportunities that others don't. Scientific studies have shown that we can actually change the wiring of our brain by being curious. Now, this one really blows me away. Early studies have shown that older adults with high levels of curiosity can increase their long-term memory retention. So that means potentially reversing dementia. Wild. So the more curious we are, the more likely we are to try new things. We've got a raised hand. Go for it. Hit me. Wait, I can't see the raised hand. It's gone. Raised hand is gone. We'll come back to it at the end. What was I saying? But the positive feedback loop of curiosity, yes. So the more curious we are, the more we try new things, we explore new things, and we get more curious. So it comes in waves, and it's so important. But it's not just our brain health that can benefit from being curious. A fitness coach I follow on Instagram recently posted a video of his 60-something parents training with him. And he was talking about the fact that they'd started training with him a couple of years previously. And when they started, they couldn't do a lot. But I was amazed to see his 61-year-old mum in a handstand, his dad moving better and with more mobility than most 30-year-olds. And, you know, how did they achieve this seemingly impossible feat? Because they showed up consistently. But in order to get to consistency, we must first be curious. We must allow that little spark to grow into a fire when we start something new and burn up any doubt or self-consciousness. We must allow curiosity to override our ego, not being afraid to look silly or get it wrong, but continue to be curious about what our bodies can do. It doesn't take long to change the length of your muscles or to release your fascia. And if you can remain curious about every little change and development and celebrate your small wins, like the first time you can touch your toes, then you're much more likely to achieve your long-term goals. Curiosity can make you sexier. How many people have been on a date where the other person didn't ask them a single question? Yep. Then you know what I'm talking about. We've all met those people who can talk about themselves endlessly without once asking about the interests of their poor audience. And those people are dull. By the way, if you've never met one of those people, the likelihood is that you are that person. So listen up. Compare this to a date or an experience where not only is your conversational counterpart asked interesting questions, they've actually listened with interest and not just to respond and go, oh my God, yeah, I've done that too. They're interested. Those people are sexy. Those are the people you end up in relationships with. And they are the people who you stay in relationships with. Because when problems arise, and they always do, you both approach them with curiosity and a healthy dose of humility, owning your part in the conundrum, asking yourselves and each other what needs to be done to muddle your way out of this. When we can stay curious to another person's point of view, even if it is opposed to our own, we are much more likely to find a way through. But it's really easy to stay curious about someone or something that we are super interested in. Where things get tough is when we are conversing with someone or something who we are diametrically opposed to. I absolutely love the band name Sexy Curious. Let's do it. I can't sing though. You know, if you think about someone who stands for everything you think is wrong with the world, could you still spend hours listening, even though everything they say makes you want to rip your ears off? Social media has not helped us here. Due to the way the algorithm works, we are constantly presented with confirmation bias. This idea that we are right because we see stuff that supposedly proves us right time and time again, further verifying our firmly held beliefs. But they are just beliefs, not facts. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself what creates sameness? What it is that the people who you trust and respect have, that those who you wouldn't listen to in a million years don't? Is it how they look? Or how they speak? Or how they dress? Or what they believe? And how far on the spectrum do we go? I've got lots of different beliefs to many of my friends and family, but I trust them. So how do I differentiate between my people and the others? It's only when we are willing to engage that we can find common ground. But we are in a curiosity crisis, perpetuated by cancel culture that insists we must shut the bad guys down. But this isn't just making us unhappy, it's causing wars. You don't have to agree with the other side. Listening to someone's point of view doesn't automatically mean you're on their team, but it does begin a dialogue. It allows you to grasp a small understanding of what it might be like to live life in their shoes. And it allows them to feel heard. And that might just be enough. We can always afford to be more curious, whether it's taking the time to listen to the opposing side on a political debate. Again, no one said we had to agree. Or rewiring our neural pathways by taking new routes to work. By sprinkling a little curiosity into our day today, we make the world a better place and ourselves healthier and happier. So, my invitation to you is that next time you have the opportunity to try something new or ask questions rather than just walk out of a debate, give it a go and see what happens. If the worst that can happen is you end up where you already are, then it might be time to make a change. How would your life be like? Wow. How would your life be different if you were more curious? Thank you for listening. And you guys are so sexy because there are so many questions in the chat. I'm loving this. Right, I'm gonna try and find, okay, great. By saying yes to everything, you can supercharge the what ifs. Yes, David, I completely agree. Speaking of curiosity, what is the mid-century modern art behind you? Do you mean the camel postcard? It's just a postcard. But I love, I absolutely love that question. Saying yes led me around the world, including teaching teachers of street and tribal schools throughout India. Oh my God, Penelope. Yes, that sounds incredible. Amazing book recommendation. I'm going to write it down. How do you manage taking on two incredible adventures at once? I started a business and grad school. Beth, wow, you're a hero. I think it's just, you know, being led by your curiosity, but also making sure there's boundaries and, you know, making sure that you really prioritize your mental health, which I think has always got to be number one. David, you've got your hand up. Let me see how I can invite you to chat. Can you take yourself off mute? Oh, uh-oh. This is where we get technical. Wait, I think I can work it out. Hang on, let's go. It's gonna be fine. Allow to talk. Okay, David, go.
All right, there we go. Fantastic. Hi. First of
Hi.
all, okay, good. I want to say you're empathetic as well as curious, which is a really, really good combination. So I love that.
Thank you.
But so many people out there, they get in situations where they're offended by somebody and they say, "How dare they treat me that way?" or "That was so unfair." And they don't realize that those can be the moments of the greatest curiosity in our lives. Because as we apply those situations of what somebody said, even if they're not completely truthful, or we're completely like, "Oh, they're so wrong about me," we can grow in such amazing ways from curiosity. Can you talk about the understanding of embracing the curious in the negative or what we perceive as the negative?
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is such a good question. Thank you so much, David. I think you're so right. Like everyone is so ready to shut conflict down and almost terrified of hearing these negative sides of ourselves. And this is where I think some of the shadow work comes in. So Carl Jung, psychologist, has a really interesting theory that when people throw shade at other people, that they're very much projecting their own, you know, negative traits on other people. But also we love to make the people who tell us that we're bad and wrong, rather than, as you say, kind of leveling up and sort of saying, okay, that's an interesting perspective, let's discuss more. And there's, as you've said, so I love this so much, like there's so much growth in that willingness to entertain a conversation with someone who we disagree with, who we think might be wrong. But until we open ourselves up to that, then we're really missing a trick, because, you know, you never know. Like I actually, one of my very best friends is someone I met through one of the worst conflicts I've ever come across. And we just so happened to decide to talk about it. Granted, there was a bottle of champagne involved. So, you know, alcohol is not the answer, but, you know, we were able to talk it through. And since then, we've had such an amazing relationship because our friendship was kind of formed on conflict. We've then always been able to have that conversation, whereas in other relationships, haven't necessarily had that. Hopefully that answers your question.
It does. Thank
Thank,
you.
thank you so much, David. Let me go back to the chat. So many new questions. Oh my gosh. Okay. My gosh. Uh, what's the biggest lesson you've learned from bringing more curiosity into your life? Um, Gosh, what a great question. I think by bringing more curiosity into my life, I've just massively expanded my world in every sense. So, you know, being willing to like read and learn about such a different plethora of things has given me such richness, and it's brought me new friends into my life. It's brought me brand new opinions. It's brought me adventures I never thought I would go on. And I think just remaining curious, and it's not always easy to remain curious, but I just think it's so important, if you can, to just every time you notice that sort of moment where you're like your hackles come up and you're like, hey, you don't know about me, just like try and ask the question before you go in with the, okay, let's fight this out. Isabella, yeah, you're sexy. Medium is sexy. How do we increase the urge for curiosity? So I think I mentioned it earlier, but curiosity is such a positive feedback loop. So if you can like do something different, so I mentioned earlier, like one of the things that some scientific studies has shown is that if you take a different route to work or you do something differently, you start to rewire the neural pathways in your brain, which I think is so fascinating. And as soon as you start doing one thing differently, so you've taken a different route to work, so maybe you've either driven a different way or you've taken a different bus. Now, maybe you've driven a different way, and on that different way, you've seen a place in your local area that you didn't even know was there. Maybe at the weekend, you go and visit that place. And then in that place, you either meet someone new or you learn a new thing, and then that takes you on to something else. So it's just an endless cycle of curiosity and just kind of doing one new thing every single day. Hopefully that answers your question. Nazir, so far stating the obvious. Well, you know, if it's obvious, great, fantastic. Right, more questions. Where are we? Curiosity killed the cat. Satisfaction brought her back. I love that, Catherine. Amazing. Guy took the path less wow, really hard to say that. Took the path less taken and it made all the difference. Amazing. Yes, completely. Penelope, I want to increase my goal to increase creativity and curiosity in elementary and secondary school during a time of focus on technology and AI. My bravery is that I am signed up with level AI creators. Very brave in my mind. Amazing, Penelope. Yes, and I totally agree. I think there's a real focus on tech and AI, and we just seem to have forgotten about creativity and the importance of arts and really developing that. So thank you so much for bringing that to young minds. I love this so much. How do you express the quality of curiosity on your resume? I mean, you could just write it. Like, I think it says it on mine. Like, I am a curious individual. This has led me to live on 3 different continents. I think just call it out, you know, and you will inevitably show that you're curious by the things that you've done, but just say it. Yeah. Obsession is great, Guy. I completely agree. Yeah. Passion. How do you not trip through the fine line of curiosity and insatiable obsession over something? Ooh, good question. I think, you know, when something's become an obsession, at least for me, is when you can't turn off thinking about it. You just find yourself ruminating on something and it sort of, you can't really turn it off. Whereas curiosity, you think I'd be able to say that given that I've just given a talk on it, is more joyful. It's light, it's not heavy, it doesn't encompass you. You just want to like see where it takes you. I don't know if that answers your question. Got some more questions here. And attract by like, show you're curious, and curious people totally want to interact with you. Yes, I completely agree, Scott. Asking someone why they believe what they do could be an interesting starting point. And when you don't immediately know how to respond. Yes, I'm thinking of a specific conversation where someone told me how selfish her daughter was for not wanting children. The attitude shut me down because it was such a surprising statement and criticism to me. Yes, I completely agree, Natalie. And I think the question why, in a curiosity sense, is one of the most powerful questions we can ask, because exactly that, it opens up the debate rather than allowing for yes or no answers. And yeah, it's great. Can you talk about combining different situations, ideas, viewpoints, authors, stories, and quotes to create something completely new, creating you as a thought leader? Amazing, David. I think we all come with our own perspective, right? And, you know, I think someone said earlier, like nothing I was saying was anything new. And that's so true. Like it's all out there, but we each bring our own flavor to the conversation. And I think it's in that you start to become that thought leader by adding your perspective and your opinion. Beth has got her hand up, right? Beth, give me a minute. I'm just going to have to work out how to take you off mute. Apologies. Go for it.
Is it okay if I make a comment about all of these people who are worried about negative comments and things like that?
Sure.
Okay. What I've learned as a writer who hadn't gotten a whole lot of negative reviews when I was younger, but now I am getting not negative reviews, but rejections from different publications and comments from peers in like workshopping. What you need to do is just listen, don't internalize every negative information that you get, but do grab the parts that you feel like are relevant to you. And if you find that there are a problem or there's something that you actually do that is not good for other people, you can always change it. Just be conscious of what you're doing as you're going through life, going through your daily routine, and just be aware that this is when somebody said that I was doing this and I don't want to do it anymore. And just keep reminding yourself. If you keep internalizing all of that negative energy, it's just going to make you focus on negative energy. You need to focus on the good things. That's all.
I completely agree. Thanks so much, Beth. And you're so right. I think the more success we get, the more negativity we attract, and we just have to really like not allow ourselves to engage in that. And as you say, we can learn from it. We can, we can take things away from it that can make us better, but we don't have to believe everything that people say about us. And with that fantastic mic drop moment from Beth, thank you. We are at the bottom of the hour, so I'm going to say a huge thank you so much for joining. And I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of Medium Day. Have a great day. And it's been really lovely to have you. Thank you so much for coming. Bye.